Kevin Hollinshead was elected to the Charleston County School Board in November to represent the constituents of District 4. He tells me what he'll tackle on the board for the district for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Charleston County School Board member Kevin Hollinshead, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. It's a pleasure to be with you as always.
Well, I appreciate it greatly. The last time I spoke with you was when you were actually running for this particular seat.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, you served the constituents of the District 4.
Yes, sir.
Now that you're on the board, tell me who is board member Kevin Hollinshead?
Well, I'm so blessed and honored to be back in this position again. I felt like we were in the abyss for 6 years with the past leadership. There's a lot of catching up we have to do, a lot of disconnect that went on in the last 6 years. So I'm hitting the ground running hard, making contact with the schools within my district, finding out their needs, finding out the parents' needs,
Sure.
and working with the current administration. We have a great superintendent at hand, Anita Huggins. She is one that went from grassroots to the top. She was a teacher. She was a principal, so she knows the lay of the land. As a difference, when I was on the board prior, that superintendent never served in the classroom whatsoever and didn't have an idea of the needs of the teacher or the layperson within the community. So it's like a breath of fresh air. When I was on the board prior,
Right.
There was a lot of tension. The people around the office today are very happy and eager to do their work.
Yes, sir. Speaking of work, let me break down what you just said. You said over the past 6 years or so, there has been a lot of disconnect and catching up. So where do you need to catch up now with this disconnect in your area?
Basically, constituent services. My predecessor did not return phone calls, did not go visit the community. I think the one visit that my predecessor did do, visited North Charleston High, and her remarks was it was a prison. It looked like a jail. Mr. Henry Darby worked for, I guess, the last 8 years. As you remember, he inherited that school with a dismal record. He had to do a lot of cleaning up. He had to do a lot of correction, behavior corrections within the school. The brother has turned that school around, and it came off the target list. And so that's of his accomplishment and dedication to that school. I would never call the school a prison. That's the difference between me and my predecessor.
And you talked about that target list. So how long was North Charleston on that target list before Mr. Darby became principal, I should say?
Well, it entered it for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in 4 years, he brought it off.
So now that they're off that particular target list, what exactly are the students' needs versus the parent needs?
Well, Ms. Huggins is reaching out. She lifted the funds that go into failing schools dramatically.
Right.
We still have a ways to go, Quintin. I myself am working on cultural needs within my community. Okay. The homeless situation, as I shared with you before, the numbers now are 400 families, 400 students that are deemed homeless. About 170 of those are family-oriented type families that are homeless. That is my number one priority. I hope to host an event with a nonprofit and get the district involved within my district sometime in the next 4 months to tackle those needs. My fantasy wish list is to eventually in 3 years get the district and some nonprofits together to purchase a facility to house about 40 families.
Wow.
I want to be able to make an impact. My superintendent, her staff philosophy is save one starfish at a time. I want to be able to save that starfish and more. It affects the achievement gap when you have children that are homeless or deemed homeless, and the teacher cannot effectively administer her educational plan to that student when that student is worrying about nutrition and food, or where they're going to stay, or worrying about their parent. So that is my number one priority for me personally. Then there are other priorities within our district. I want to be able to work with Morningside Middle School. I want to be able to see if I can get the superintendent. I know I have a cooperation, but staff's cooperation. But I want to work on cultural events within the school, like creating a band program for the middle school to feed Mr. Darby in the high school, and also Stall High School to help them build a strong band program. I talked to USC and talked to their volleyball team. I want to try to work on volleyball within our system, within the middle school area, and then expand that. Young ladies, have an opportunity to go to USC or other schools to play volleyball. If you impact that student's life, to give them options, you'll be able to have a better product.
Besides those particular schools that you just mentioned, including Morningside, where else do you want to expand sports in District 4?
Well, it's the two feeder schools, the big schools in my district are Military Magnet, Academic Magnet, Stall High School and North Charleston High. But the two, Military Magnet does their own recruitment program, but Stall and North Charleston High, I really want to focus on the feeder pattern to those schools. Now Stall, has about 1,300 students.
Right.
They're overcrowded up there. Mr. Darby has about 800, and I think its capacity is 1,100. And then, even though Burke is not in my district, and I have a warm spot for Burke High School, and trying to help Burke in this problem downtown.
Sure. That is my alma mater. I'm class of 2004, of course. Okay, with that capacity, where are they putting the students in these other areas?
Well, I can tell you right now, I challenge the staff to look at the attendance line. As Kiowa Homes and Rosemount go to North Charleston High. They're right down the street from Burke High School. Almore District, which is right across the river in West Ashley, go to West Ashley High when they could go to Burke High School. I think I believe, I need to double check, but I'm pretty sure that East Bay, Bayside Manor, attends North Charleston High also. Those schools are within stone's throw of Burke High School. There's some things that I, challenge staff on, some issues like the charter school CDA. CDA was put on a bond referendum back before I got on the board, was promised an elementary school. Mayor Riley reneged on that. The district did not have funding for it. We still owe that program was a very successful program, a school. So I think we need to work with them to help them flourish also.
With that charter CDA, and I was just at Back to Green at Burke yesterday, but tell me, how much funding do you need for that program now?
Well, it is a charter school based upon its enrollment and then in its body. But we promised them a school. So if we're true to our commitment, I don't want it always to be that black folks buy into something and then we get left out. I think we need to hold our promise to that school.
How many of those African American students? Well, how many African American students could go to this this charter school if you get more funding?
Well, more. I mean, understand now in downtown Charleston,
Yes, sir.
all the other elementary schools, and it's not my district,
Right.
but all the other elementary schools are down in attendance.
Right.
So some hard decisions are going to have to be made in the near future of consolidating. We just got to figure that one out.
Which schools are down in attendance?
All of them, Quintin. You have Progressive, Mitchell, James Simmons. You have them all in some sort of capacity, not a full attendance. And basically what happened is
Yes, sir.
the economic growth downtown is pushing people into North Charleston. And now North Charleston is getting to be unbearable in finances and it's pushing them further out. So that hurts the growth of new growth is not going into the city to fill those schools.
And this is a silly question, but is that economic growth hurting the attendance lines?
I believe so. Yes, sir. That's part of the reason.
And mostly downtown.
Yes, sir.
Now, you talked about obviously those schools that are down, James Simmons, Progressive, all these other schools, Mitchell, of course, as we know and love. But where can you consolidate those schools downtown with the numbers being down like they are?
There has to be some discussion. I think I'm just one vote, one person.
Sure.
But I think we need to get in front of it and have that discussion now instead of boiling over. Everybody wants to attack Burke, and they want to take Burke away from Burke. Burke is a historical black school. Burke is, as I can tell you, when I was in college, I went to Benedict College. I attended Benedict. And I can remember, I believe it was Washington High that USC took over downtown. And when I was in school, I remember the African Americans up there talked about, oh, we got this reunion of the schools. Well, today, majority of those people that attended that school, Brooklyn, whatever, Brooklyn, Washington School,
Right.
The students that attended that school pretty much have died off. And you don't hear no mention of that school whatsoever anymore. I don't want that to be with Burke. We already lost Barnes Wilson High, C.A. Brown,
Sure.
and I guess we can say Charleston High was one of ours too. The only last school that we have is Burke High. Do we keep giving, and not being able to try to fix a problem?
What exactly is the problem at Burke?
I think it's the attendance line. I think it deliberately part of it is the feeding pattern to Burke, but the other thing is the attendance lines. I think things were deliberately done to choke Burke off.
Such as
its reputation, for one. Being able to the attendance lines, like I told you, if the area is changing, it lessens the number of population that are going to be able to attend the school.
Let me stay on that. Is it with the attendance lines? Is it because the parents want these kids to go to different schools, or is it because of the economic growth is pushing them someplace else, and that's affecting the attendance lines?
Well, sometimes we're our own worst enemy. We'll let somebody feed us a negative line, and we'll buy into it. I have two of my three that graduated from Burke, and they're doing very successful. My daughter has an administrative degree, a teacher in Columbia. My son Kevin Jr. works for the state and highway department. He's doing quite well. They're products of Burke High School. I can name other students that graduated from Burke High that are very successful. We don't need to buy into the negativity all the time.
What can Burke do now to keep that school open and improve the attendance lines?
Well, again, the attendance lines is one point. The other thing is we need to have a sit-down talk. There are two schools sharing that campus, the middle school and Burke High. There are two, and I know the names have changed now. There's two different bed codes for two different schools.
Sure.
I think we need to consolidate them under one. That would give Burke an imprint of maybe 300 to 400 students, and then we need to work on the attendance lines. That would probably bring them up to about 600 to make the school applicable to work with again. Again, having people on the board that know the history of Charleston County. Not someone that's a paid hack to be on the board is a big difference.
The hack to do what?
Hack.
Yeah, hack to do what?
Hack to destroy black people. Again, you know how I am. I'm very straightforward. I like history, but as you know, on the plantation, they always had the house Negro and the field Negro. And we had the house Negro sitting over our district for a while. So now we got to get down to work. If you're talking about changing one student's life, one starfish life, you need to be into what you moved into in the area. You don't need to be someone that's purchased to give a false narrative to black people.
Now, do you have any evidence of this?
I speak the truth to life. You can see what's going on around you. Look at the results. Ask the question and look at the results. And I can get into more to that later, but I look at the results. My predecessor, in her last year, missed more meetings than that was scheduled. My predecessor wants to run for a House seat now, and how she's talking about running for a House seat when she couldn't make the school board meetings, and that she did more fussing and fighting than anything else. And so, my constituents and my leaders like Teddy Pryor and Henry Darby wanted me to get on this board, not to sit and fuss and fight, but to try to find common ground so we can get things going. We can fight all day long, but if we can't find common interests to bring things together, we got a problem. There are two unique people on this board when I was running I got to meet. That is Carolina Jewett of Mount Pleasant and Michelle Lever. Two Republicans, two different philosophies, but they're two intriguing people with two different mind patterns. Michelle worked in corporate America for Bourne and Gulfstream in the executive office. Miss Caroline Jewett is a small business owner, very successful and very smart on numbers. Two different personalities, but I find myself having dialogue with them now to be able to get them to understand the needs of not just my district, but the whole operation of Charleston County Schools, because we affect, black and brown and poor white kids are the ones that are affected in Charleston County Schools. So you got to understand that the needs are totally different.
Let me go back to Burke because I want to, circle back over there and try to, stay there and connect the dots. But
that ain't my district now. I'm gonna entertain you.
I got a special place of Burke in my heart, of course, as everyone knows. Mm-hmm. But I mean, from '99 until 2004, I was there. But then let me ask you this: this might be a silly question, but what is the common ground for Burke, and what is the common interest for Burke?
Well, the common ground for Burke is his historical and significant values. The big thing that I think African Americans and even whites that live in the area need to understand that the history of Charleston, we gave away so much. We gave away more African American schools for the right reasons. We thought the right reasons at a particular time, and we gave away our heritage. Do you hear anybody talk about the Bonds Wilson alumni group anymore? Do you hear anybody talk about the C.A. Brown alumni group anymore? Do you hear anybody talk about Charleston High group anymore? But you still hear folks come together and rally around Burke High School. That is the last of the Mohegans. I think we can shape Burke into be a Catholic school that everybody can take advantage of, white and black.
Sure.
But the thing about it is we cannot erase the footprint of black folks to satisfy someone else.
What other footprints are they allegedly removing when it comes to African American children? When it comes to Burke?
Well, again, look at the history. We had other programs at Burke.
Oh yes.
Academic Magnet started out there, and then now they're in North Charleston. They're one of my schools. They wanted to grow, and they left Burke. But Burke needs to be treated as its own entity and needs to be cherished by us because it's the last of what we have.
What's keeping Burke up now these days?
Well, the principal, the student body that it has there current now, the staff,
sure,
that are dedicated to it. I think we need to give the resources, not just money, but the resources and attendance to help them build. And we need to make sure the programs there that attract students to be there. I had one constituent board member told me turn into a countywide school where anybody can go there. I heard other rumors about, some behavior problem kids got shipped to Burke. We need to look at a lot of things to try to figure out how to fix that problem.
Why would they ship those children with behavioral problems to Burke?
Well, it's not just Burke. I mean, North Charleston had it too. Mr. Darby had to clean his school up. Stahl had to work on their attendance population. So, I mean, it's just a common thing that happens with schools. Burke has more room.
Sure, it does.
And so that might be one of the reasons why they shipped them there. But we need to have a balance of students there that we can service and help.
What resources could actually make Burke a school for all?
Well, that's the discussion we're gonna have to have. I'm gonna have to have with the community, and it's not me.
Right.
My sweet mate, that's her district. We need to have that discussion with the community. We need to be able to have it with all the board members, and we need to learn to respect and understand what it is that the school represents.
Turning over to some developing news, as you know, the Charleston County School District reallocated $26.1 million in capital projects. Let me read the actual article from Channel 5. The Charleston County School District Board of Trustees reallocated money to covering rising costs. The money will support the budget for James B. Edwards Elementary, James Allen Charter Stadium improvements, that is, and Edith L. Frierson Elementary Schools. So when you look at all of those schools right there, Hollingshead, how much is all that as far as rising costs?
In my darn district, Jim. But anyway, it's just the cost of construction has gone up tremendously. We estimate XYZ dollars for a project, and then you find out that you're under, and the inflation prices bring it up. Some of it is constituent needs that we need to go meet with the constituents on. They have other ideals. We have to satisfy them. I believe that is Darlene Dunmire's district. and she probably can elaborate a little bit more about that than I can. But from being on the board prior,
Yes, sir.
I can tell you that's what it is.
As a matter of fact, this Phase 5, which is wave 3 of capital project sales tax project, was actually approved in 2020, as you know.
Mhm.
Jeff Rory, the chief operating officer for the district, says, quote to Channel 5, we had already done a reallocation for all of the Wave 1 and Wave 2 projects, as well as one of the other projects in Wave 3. So this is just basically putting the last 2 projects on even footing for the rest of the sales tax program.
Yes, sir.
So what are the costs for the rest of the sales tax program?
Well, again, we got into it the other day, but we need to take a full look at it, what the balance is of what he wants to do.
Mm. Does he actually have a plan?
Yeah, Jeff has a plan.
Okay.
I can get you a copy of it. I don't have every answer for you,
Sure.
but I can get you a copy of it. I can get back with you on that.
Now, those inflation costs for those particular 5 schools that I just mentioned, James B. Edwards, James Allen Charter Stadium improvements, and of course, Edith L. Fryson Elementary. How much all is that costing the district as far as inflation?
Well, we already had the money there, so it really didn't cost us anything. It's just money that we already had and we saved somewhere else and we just reallocated it. But the inflation cost goes in the material, brick and mortar, buildings, of improvement. The inflation drive right now. I'll give you an example in brick and mortar.
Yes, sir.
Remember, you used to build a house in this district for about 150 to 200,000, and that's in the most modest area. Now in Union Heights, it costs you $500,000 to put up a house, and everybody keeps saying what, and everybody starts cussing, but that's because the inflation price drove it up that bad.
What other costs are driving these prices up for these projects here?
Brick and mortar. It could be material.
Okay.
It could be labor. It could be supplies. It could be a number of things that drive it up.
Now, what is the total budget for all of these schools?
Well, again, I don't have that number in front of me, but I
Okay.
can look that up for you.
Okay. And I hope to get Ms. Roberson back on Quintin's close up soon so we can talk about her district in depth as well.
Mm-hmm.
But what is that 5-year plan for this particular project going forth? Once you get all of this taken care
Well,
of?
now, in 2000 and, boy, I'm getting old, Quentin. In the next 4-year cycle for the presidential election, there will be another referendum going up for school improvements.
Sure.
And in 2 years, we'll compile a list of schools and needs for new schools or repairing schools within our area. The district has always been a good steward of the money to make sure those repairs happen. So I think the public will vote for it again. But one thing I'm excited about is being on this board. I can make sure I can attend to needs within my district.
But you said that you think the public will vote for it. But after all the waste that's been going on from 2020 on down, do you think they're in need for another referendum? Do you think they're going to vote for that?
I don't think we have a waste. I think what we do when reallocating is that money that we saved in one area and reallocate it to another. I have never not known the district to waste money. Now, I will say judgment on some cases, like I'm working on a situation now in District 4. I think, and it goes back when I was first on the board. I think if we had approached one particular project one way now, we wouldn't have to readdress it again, and I'm keeping that to myself.
Sure.
But we have to address issues. But again, having experienced board members on the board, and like I even tell the board members now, if you would take the time to talk to past board members to get an understanding. I'm not saying we agree, but understanding the picture of what went on back then helps you make a decision now moving forward. Some of them jump in there and they say, I know, and you don't know nothing. When I first got on the board, I had to do a lot of research. Remember, I was that dumb buck too. And I had a lot of people tutoring me. I'm not going to tell you I made some mistakes in my first term. I made plenty of mistakes. But also I was right on a lot of things too. But this time I learned to express my way more positively to support the administration.
And what else do you want to support the administration on going forth?
Well, I want to support the administration on the development and closing the achievement gap. That is the big thing. That's the one thing that this superintendent has the experience and drive. What I like about her, she's good at presenting. Then she lets her staff do the work. The past superintendent, I think she did everything. She did everything. She stayed up at night doing everything. Now this superintendent stays up, I believe, returning 500 emails to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because she wants to be a personal touch. I think she's going to get burnout doing that. But again, but that's her desire. But then people like Jeff Roy, is good at what he does. Vanessa Denny is an excellent person. I think she's like a lightning bulb within the room, and she's very good at what she does. I meet with her tomorrow to take a tour of Morningside. Miss Jones, Sonia Jones, who's over the homeless intervention in the school district. I'm hoping to get her more staffing so she can do an effective job. That's my first wish list to help her in her department.
And going back to that, I know you talked about the homelessness and all the culture needs in your district, and you talked about that facility that you wanted on your wish list. Where would you get the money from that? Would it be a public-private partnership?
Well, we got to be a public-private partnership, and then I also got to do some more research. It's developing every day. I still have to meet with Star Gospel. I got the Humanities Foundation. Collectively, I want to put ideas together. We have property that the district has, warehouse, but also, we just got to figure that out. You got to look at this in a holistic process. You got to be able to take that parent off the street, whether it be mental health, drug addiction, job skills. You have to get that parent back on track because it affects the child. And so we have to have a controlled environment and one-stop resources to bring all those resources in to be able to help fix that problem and then put that person back in public housing. So that's what I'm hoping to do. That is my theory.
Now, would you, separate from that facility you just mentioned, well, let me ask you this first. Where exactly would you put this facility?
Well, again, we have warehouse land, and then the county has warehouse land. That we just have to kind of weigh it as that opportunity comes. Right now, we got to patch what hole we can, and then kind of work forward toward that.
Now, that one-stop facility, would that be separate from this actual facility?
Yeah, there are other organizations out there that are doing this, and we can try to bring them under one umbrella. Ms. Jones has done a fabulous job in that area, and to bring them under one umbrella. But then we also need a facility. There's some nonprofits now that are working on that facility for parents, but they're like small compared to the number that we need to have in play. Everybody takes a slip up in life, bro. And so we got to be able to find a way to help that situation and help that person grow, get back on track.
Now, what exactly are those coaching needs in your district?
Well, we're a poverty district. We're still, even though we're experiencing a lot of growth, we're still a poverty district. As you know, you walk out this door and you walk to the right at the transit station right there, you see about 40 homeless people standing out there. And I'm not necessarily saying those are parents of kids in Charleston County Schools, but this is a blighted area. When you look back to the left, they were living in the old Kmart building. When you go further down the road to Rivers Avenue, they're up under the bridge in tents. So, they done chased them out of the city, so they're out of my area now. So, this is the area that is blighted for poor people.
Charleston County School Board member Kevin Hollinshead, thank you for your time again. Welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin.
Thank you.